What's going on, my peoples? 𝐊𝐄𝐃𝐄𝐃 in the building with okaybeatz, bringing you another tutorial. Today we're going to learn how to record vocals on FL Studio 21. We're going to be recording directly into the DAW. We're going to pick out the beat that we're going to use to record on. And we're gonna do a basic mix of these vocals to have everything sitting right and sounding good, so you can, so you can drop the song on SoundCloud or all the streaming platforms or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You could get it mastered. You could do, whatever you want after you get this part done right here, which is the mixing and the recording. So, without further ado, we're gonna get right into it. Let me go ahead and shrink this screen. Here we have the beat that I'm going to use, which is Glitch Flow, and it's a trap beat. So I'm going to go ahead and take the wave file. We already know from the title of the beat that it's 164 BPM, so I'm going to take that wave file and drag it right into the session. Right at the top. Go ahead and mess with this. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and put this at 164 BPM. We already know that's the tempo of the song. 164. Alright. So, the first thing that I want to do before I start recording is I want to name a few tracks on the mixer track. I want to name one LV. Wait, my fault. Right click on track number 1. Rename it. It's going to be capital L, capital V for lead vocal. Then we're going to have background vocals, BGV. And then we're going to have the hook. So we're gonna take another track and name it all vox, which means all the vocals. This is basically a group bus. And then we're gonna take another one and name it verb. And then we're gonna get another track and name it delay. And then we're gonna get another track and name it FX. So we have 7 tracks there total. 4 of them are for the hook, or 4 of them are for the vocals, and 4 of them are for effects. Wait, there's one more missing. Sorry about that. We're gonna name this one P-Comp for parallel compression. Or saturation, whichever you feel like you want to call it. I moved it over to the side of the FX so that the category or the group bus is going to be sitting at the end of the entire group. So what we're going to do to make it easier to look at this is we're going to hold Command and click over all 4 vocal tracks, right click on it, change the color, and change them all blue. Then we're going to do the same thing with all of the effects tracks. We're going to hold Command and drag the mouse cursor over the verb, the delay, the P-Comp, parallel compression, and the effects track. I'm going to right click on it, change the color, and color it green. Alright, so now we have 2 groups, green and blue. One is for the vocals, and one is for the effects. Another thing that we're going to do is go ahead and go into this playlist editor and double click on the beat that we just dragged in. And then we're going to go ahead and go into this pattern window and click track right here. Once we do that, it's going to automatically route that beat into a track in the mixer giving it its own basically track. So we're gonna change the color of that to purple, because that's the beat. Now we know that's the beat. Alright, so let's see. This is the input recorded track. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click it and I'm going to dock it to the right so that it's always out of my way, but still accessible. So anything I record with my vocal is gonna go into this track. It's gonna show up here in the playlist editor, and it's automatically gonna be part of this track. But what I'm gonna do after I record it is click on the actual vocal and then send it to whichever vocal track it belongs to. So if I'm singing the verse, it's gonna go into lead vocal. If I'm singing the background vocals, like the ad-libs or just the highlights and stuff like that, then I'm gonna put them into background vocals. And if I'm singing the chorus or the hook, then that's gonna go into the hook track. And then all of these tracks are going to be routed to the voice group, to the vocals group. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. I'm gonna hold Command and highlight all three of those vocal tracks. And I'm gonna go down here to this little arrow right here on the all box group bus. Right click on it and say route to this track only. So it's not gonna be routed to nowhere else but this track right here. They're all three of these tracks that I selected are all gonna be routed to this track right here. I'm gonna do the same thing with the effects tracks. I'll make sure those three are highlighted, and I'm going to route it to the effects track only. So there we go. So now if we press play, we will see that the beat is playing on the beat track. Alright, so now we have most of this ready basically to start recording. I'm gonna go ahead and open this mixer window up a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and go into the master track real quick and get rid of this fruity limiter and change it for one that I like, which is called TR5 Classic Clipper. Shout out to my man Tint Proxy from TikTok. Tint Proxy. He's a dope engineer and just an awesome producer that I learned some tricks from. And yeah, I really like this plugin that he put me onto. This is a good limiter right here. It really like makes the music a little bit more edgy. And I just turned it up a little tiny bit, about 0.5 dB, about half a dB. And the same here with the output. And then the slope, I bring it to the edgier side, just so I could get a little edgier vibe here. This is the softer side. If you were to turn it to the left there, you get like a softer feel. You know what I'm saying? To the transients. This makes the transients a little bit more punchy, you know. So let's get out of there and let's go ahead and start recording. Another thing that I want to do actually is I use Universal Audio Apollo for my recording. So what I like to do is set up on the console, just set up a little vocal chain here real quick. One thing that I like to use very often is the API Vision. Yeah, I really love this app. I really love this plugin. It's a full channel strip from API, and it's just a classic sound. And you know, if you know, you know. This is an awesome preamp, awesome channel strip. Then I have Beatz EQ mix version here with the preset for male vocals. And now I'm also gonna add some auto tune real quick. Terrace auto tune real time. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this on a D minor scale. And I'm gonna turn this retune speed all the way up to like 5. You're gonna start hearing my voice get a little bit more auto-tuney, and that's okay because that's what we're going for. So let's get on with it. I'm gonna X out of that console, and now that the preamp and the vocal chain is set, now we can go ahead and just start recording to where, however we feel comfortable. So I have this mic right next to me. It's the U47 FET from Neumann, and it's one of my favorite mics in the world. And I hope we get some good stuff. I wrote this song like a few minutes ago. I just finished writing this verse and hook, and then the background vocals, we're just kind of gonna, you know, just freestyle it as we go. So let me see what we got. Alright, we can press record over here just to on the track and press play. Yeah. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip-flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. Alright, so that was the hook. I'm gonna go ahead and sing it again in a different way. That's gonna hopefully make that sound a little bit more complimentary. Let's see. Na 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 na. Who would think that I'll be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you have to break my heart? Break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip-flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. Alright, so that was a good recording. Let's see how that came out over here on the playlist editor. Let's play that together. Na 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 na. Yeah. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip-flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. Alright, so that sounds pretty dope. I'm gonna go ahead and reroute those tracks because right now they are on track 14. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this top one right here and send it to the hook track. Wow. And then put this one on the background vocals track, because that's just a supporting track for it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and sing a quick verse. Never figured in my dreams you would flip-flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Here we go. Yeah. How they gon' pull up on me? Where they whip at? I just spent the salary on a jetpack. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. Alright, so now let me sing the second part of that verse. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. My fault, hold up, my fault, wasn't ready for that. Okay, here we go. My fault again, here we go. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. They ain't get the license plate when we left the scene. Soon they got the trace of bacon, they alert the team. You heard about it, you ain't seen what I seen. I'm a legend in the streets. I'll do that again real quick. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. They ain't get the license plates. Here we go, here we go. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. They ain't get the license plates when we left the scene. Soon they get a trace of bacon, they alert the team. You heard about it, you ain't seen what I seen. I'm a legend in these streets, don't get let up with the beams. It's alright, but I think I could do a better take right quick. Let me see. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. They ain't get the license plates when we left the scene. Soon they get a trace of bacon, they alert the team. You heard about it, you ain't seen what I seen. I'm a legend in these streets, don't get let up with the beams. Nah, I think I could do a better one. I'm gonna get creative with it. Let me see. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. They ain't get the license plates when we left the scene. Soon they get a trace of bacon, they alert the team. You heard about it, but you ain't seen what I seen. I'm a legend in these streets, don't get let up with the beams. I like that take. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do some background vocals for that whole verse. Here we go. Yeah. How they gon' pull up on me? Where they whip at? I just spent the salary on a jetpack. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. They ain't get the license plates when we left the scene. Soon they get a trace of bacon, they alert the team. You heard about it, but you ain't seen what I seen. I'm a legend in these streets, don't get let up with the beams. Excuse me, one more vocal takes on these background vocals. Here we go. Yeah. How they gon' pull up on me? Where they whip at? I just spent the salary on a jetpack. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. They ain't get the license plates when we left the scene. Soon they get a trace of bacon, they alert the team. You heard about it, but you ain't seen what I seen. No legend in these streets, don't get little with the beams. Alright, I like that. We could go ahead and disarm that track. I'm gonna go ahead and route all of these vocals where they belong real quick. And then we're gonna do what we gotta do to organize everything. I'm gonna send these vocals, this verse, to the lead vocals track, which is number 1. Do the same thing with this one, lead vocals track number 1. Go, wow. And then I take these ones and send them to the background vocals. This one too, background vocals, which is number 2. Wow, now everything is routed to where it's supposed to go. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean the vocals up real quick by holding Option and dragging on the edge of any one of these clips. You are going to be able to clean up the clips and get rid of any extraneous noises that do not belong in your recording. This is very important. This is a very important step, because when you do this, you make your vocals sound very professional. I repeat, when you clean up your vocals, they sound more professional. So always do this. And we're gonna go ahead and take a listen to see where there's more stuff we can clean up. Now I can already see that there's space over here, and we're gonna end up cleaning up all of those spaces after we do what we really want to do. I'm gonna go ahead and press C real quick. C is the cutting tool, and I'm gonna make some cuts where I know that they're already gonna go. So I'm gonna end up cutting here. I'm gonna cut here. I'm gonna cut here, 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 and here. And the same thing to this one here, 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 bow, and bow. See, now I can go back to press B, which is the regular pointer tool. Go ahead and drag in all of these edges by holding Option and dragging all of those things. I know this is very tedious, guys, but this is very important to clean up your recording, because if you hear any of that garbage, if anybody hears any of that garbage in your track, then you already know you're gonna end up getting criticized for it. Unless you going for that, you know, for that style where you got noise going on in the background of your vocal and all of that stuff, you know, that's fine if you're going for it. We understand. But otherwise, it's very important to just go ahead and clean that up real quick. You know, and it may not be so quick, but the cleaner your vocal, the less you got to deal with in the mix. So, alright, so do this one too real quick. Undo. Bow. Almost there. Got that there. And I think we're about, no, actually, press C again. Make a cut right here. Maybe a cut right here, and a cut right here, and a cut right here. Because these are all background vocals at the end of the day, so we don't really need too much noise in this background vocals. Once again, I know this is tedious, but yes, it is necessary, guys. So, make another cut over here where I know the chorus begins. Now I'm gonna take this chorus, I'm gonna press E and highlight, which is the highlight tool. I'm gonna highlight over the hook, press B again to select this, and hold Shift and drag all of this, or a copy of all of this, to over here where I know it's gonna begin again. I'm gonna go ahead and hold Shift and press down on the arrow pad so we could give that its own space. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Press E, and just move some things around real quick so everything could be nice and organized and everything has its own space. Alright, so bow, take all of this, move it down. Alright, give the verse its own space, and we can give everything gets its own space. Everything, all of the background vocals, any background vocals, I'm bringing it down below the actual hook. This is the hook, these two are the verse, and all of this and below is background vocals. Everything from here and down is background vocals. So now that we have this nice and situated, let's go ahead and hear this and see what it sounds like. Yeah. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you have to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you have to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip-flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Here we go. Yeah. How they gon' pull up on me? Where they whip at? I just split the salary on a jetpack. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. They ain't get the license plates when we left the scene. Soon they get a trace of bacon, they alert the team. You heard about it, but you ain't seen what I seen. No legend in these streets, talk a little with the beam. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip-flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. Alright. So, that looks like it sounds pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. So now that I don't need to record my vocal anymore, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off this processing that we got going on here so my voice doesn't keep sounding like T-Pain. Now I can talk to you guys. Alright, so now that we know that everything is in place, now we're gonna go in with the mixing, and it's gonna be quick, guys. It's gonna be a quick mix guide. So remember, the first thing that we need to do when we mixing is pay attention to the levels. Pay attention to the levels. So I'm gonna go ahead and listen to the track while I adjust the levels on these faders over here. The only faders that I'm paying attention to right now is the first three, which is the lead vocals, the background vocals, and the hook, because it's all those are the vocals that I have. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna be spreading out the background vocals all the way. I'm gonna be spreading out the hook about halfway, and the lead vocal is gonna stay, it's gonna stay mono. So let's go ahead and adjust these volumes. Yeah. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you have to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you have to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip-flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Here we go. Yeah. How they gon' pull up on me? Where they whip at? I just split the salary on a jetpack. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. They ain't get the license plates when we left the scene. Soon they get a trace of bacon, they alert the team. You heard about it, but you ain't I seen. No legend in these streets, talking little with the beam. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip-flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break? Alright, so I turned that down. I know that towards the very end over here, I want it to start getting quieter, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this last bit off over here and then fade it. That's for the background vocal. And then for the main hook, I'm gonna go ahead and start fading it about 2 bars to the end. So we're gonna still hear the vocal, but here's what it sounds like. Never figured in my dreams you would flip-flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. See, so it's a you see, so it's a clean finish. You know what I'm saying? It sounds smooth. It's like an outro type finish. You know what I'm saying? This is a short song, by the way, but nonetheless, it still goes for any length song that you want to make. So, anyways, now we're gonna go ahead and since we messed with all of the levels already, now we're gonna go ahead and bring in some reverb and some delay and some saturation or distortion or parallel compression, however you wanna call it. So the reverb that I like to use is Valhalla Vintage Verb. I just go ahead and leave it the same way that it is stock, and then just go ahead and bring up this low cut a little bit to like 150 hertz. Alright, that's really all I do, because I love the way that this reverb sounds. I know it sounds a little bit lazy to just leave everything the way it is, but sometimes it just works, man. Sometimes what works. Going to the delay, and I like to use H delay from Waves. Let me see if I can find it in this whole message. There we go. Stereo. And by the way, all of these effects is in stereo. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this delay and turn on this ping pong mode over here. I'm gonna put this on 1/4. The very first preset that lets you see 1/4. The feedback, I'm gonna turn it up to like 73. I'm gonna bring this low pass filter down to like 9.5 kilohertz. This high pass filter, I'm gonna bring it up to like 200, a little bit over 200 hertz. This analog dial, I'm gonna bring it all the way down, and that's about it. We'll get here what this sounds like. Actually, before we hit here, let's put on some saturation real quick on this parallel compression bus. I like to use Saturn by Fab Filter. Let me see, Saturn 2. Here we go, Saturn 2. And once again, I do not do much to this because it's already in a setting that I really like the way that it sounds. The reverb, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it halfway stereo width, and then this delay, I'm gonna bring it all the way stereo width. So I already know I like those things to sound like that. So this hook over here, I'm gonna go ahead and send it to the reverb, and then pull back about 25% to about 25%. The hook is also going to be routed to the delay, and I'm going to pull that back about 15%. And the background vocals, I'm going to hook it up to the reverb as well. I'm going to bring that back to about 30%. And then I'm also going to hook it up with the delay and leave that at about half. A little bit under half. And then the verse is gonna have a little bit of reverb on it. That's just about 10% reverb, maybe. Yeah, not much, just about 10%. There we go. And let's see what this sounds like real quick, ladies and gents. Yeah. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you have to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you have to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart. Alright, that sounds pretty good. This all Vox right here, the main vocal bus, I'm gonna go ahead and route that to parallel compression and pull back to about 50%, more or less, and that should help it be heard a little bit more. And anyways, now let's go ahead into the lead vocal. The first thing I want to do to it is put some sorry, wrong thing. I'm gonna put some EQ on it. My go-to EQ is the Pro Q3 from FabFilter. Alright, before I start messing with it, I'm gonna go ahead and click on this little arrow right here on the first insert and go to where it says Save Preset As. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to this little icon over here on the edge and drag that little icon onto the background vocals. And I'm also gonna do that again and drag it onto the hook. So that way I get an instance of this Pro Q3 on each one of those tracks. So on the lead vocal, I'm gonna go ahead and go into this preset right here that says vocal. You see how easy that is? So they set that up for you lovely. So I'm gonna go ahead and drag this red dot right here all the way up until like 90 to like 90. So anything below 90 is gonna get cut off because we don't need that in our vocals. And then we got this little high shelf going on here to bring out the presence and bring out those highs, make it sound nice and shiny. I might have to get rid of some of these mids and mid lows over here, so we're just gonna pay attention to that. But this is more or less things that I already know I want my vocals to sound like. So the same thing with the background vocals. I'm gonna go ahead and go into the background vocals EQ, and I'm gonna go into the preset that says phone. So then you're gonna get this little isolation of frequencies over here. I'll make it a little bit wider towards the high end, so I don't want it to sound too much like a phone, but I do want to isolate those frequencies so that the background vocals just sound just perfect, you know, in comparison to the hook and the lead vocals. So I'm gonna go ahead into the hook and do the same thing here with the hook. I'm gonna go into the presets and go to vocal. This is the low end. It's gonna go all the way up to about 90 or a little bit past 100 actually, because I want the chorus to sound a little bit brighter, a little bit more present than the actual vocal. So when that comes in, it's gonna be like real memorable moment. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what that sounds like so far. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you have to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you have to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Here we go. Yeah. How they gon' pull up on me? Where they with at? I just spent the salary on a jetpack. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stats. They ain't get the license plates when we left the scene. Soon they get a trace of bacon, they alert the team. You heard about it, but you ain't seen what I seen. I'm a legend in these streets, young and little. Alright, so that sounds really good. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of putting a compressor on each vocal, I'm gonna go to the vocal group and put a compressor there. I'm gonna put the 𝐊𝐄𝐃𝐄𝐒 stereo from Waves. I'm gonna go ahead and turn up the compression. Excuse me. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn up the gain as well to about 50 something, 52. I'm gonna hit this 60 hertz button because it's more on the highs, the presence on this one. So I usually hit the 60 for the highs. If it was lows, I would press 50 hertz. So let's see what this sounds like right now. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Alright, you see how that sounds really harsh? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna back off on the 𝐊𝐄𝐃𝐄𝐒 insert, mix and wet. The mix knob over here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull back on it to about 40%. Let's see what that sounds like. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Yeah. Never figured in my dreams you would flip flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Here we go. Yeah. How they gon' pull up on me? Where they whip at? I just spent the salary on a jetpack. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. They didn't get the license plates when we left the scene. Soon they get a trace of bacon, they alert the team. You heard about it, but you ain't seen what I seen. I'm a legend in these streets, dug a little with the beam. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch? Alright. So I went ahead and adjusted the parallel compression that was going into the vocal group here called 𝐊𝐄𝐃𝐄𝐒. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these effects, this effects group, and I'm gonna turn it down a little, ever so slightly, and then I'm going to put some flanger on the delays so they can stand out a little tiny bit more. I don't want to overdo it with the flanger, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull back on that insert knob there, on that mix knob, about halfway. And for the flanger, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on a preset that I like called breakdown. So we're gonna hear what this sounds like. Oh, this is a flanger BL20 by Arturia, by the way. Really good flanger. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Okay, another thing that sounds good. Another thing that I like to do is go onto my effects, my effects track here, and put an EQ on it. Pro Q, you know I'm a big fan. And there's nothing on the effects that has lows on it, or that I want to include lows on. So I'm gonna go ahead and say low cut. I'm gonna go to the preset and press low cut, really steep, just like that. And I'm gonna go all the way to like 120, because this is where I want the effects to begin being heard. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring it slightly down to somewhere in the mids over here, so it's not like overpowering, but it can stand out in the highs a little bit more. So let's hear that. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Here we go. Yeah. How they gon' pull up on me? Where they whip at? I just spent the salary on a jetpack. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops. Alright, so that sounds good. I'm really liking how that sounds. You hear that delay, you hear the flanger on that delay, man. Yeah, that really helped out there. So we'll go into the master track, put an EQ on this master track, and then just go to about like 400 to 500 range, and kind of just create like a little dip in that range, just so it could like balance everything out a little bit. Let's hear what that sounds like.
Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you have to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip-flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Here we go. Yeah. How they gon' pull up on me, where they whip at? I just spent the salary on a jetpack. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. They ain't get the license plates when we left the scene. Soon they get a trace of bacon, they alert the team. You heard about it, but you ain't seen what.
Alright, sounding good. I just adjusted the CLA2A on the vocal track there, on the vocal group bus. Just made it a little bit more clearer, a little less rasp on there. And another thing that I want to do there actually is put a de-esser on there. So I'll go to Fab Filter de-ess stereo, and then go to a preset, go to mastering, vocal de-essing in music, and that gives it a soft de-essing there. So let's hear what that sounds like.
Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you have to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip-flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart. Here we go. Yeah. How they gon' pull up on me, where they whip at? I just spent the salary on a jetpack. Went to Mars, jumped through hoops just to get back. Now I sit back, counting all these big stacks. They ain't get the license plates when we left the scene. Soon they get a trace of bacon, they alert the team. You heard about it, but you ain't seen what I seen. I'm a legend in these streets, don't get little with the beam. Who would think that I be scheming with ops? Why you snitch, nigga? Why you have to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Never figured in my dreams you would flip-flop. Why you snitch, nigga? Why you had to break my heart? Break my heart, break my heart, break my heart. Yeah.
Alright, well, I'm personally satisfied, and basically my peoples, like, that's about it, you know. So today we basically recorded vocals. We did a basic mix on each vocal. Let me remind y'all, I'm gonna remind y'all real quick that the reason why we didn't have to do much in the mix, once again, is because we're using quality tools to capture quality vocals. We have a treated room to help complement that quality. You know, the quieter and the more treated the room is, the better quality vocals you're gonna get. We're going from a U47 FET into a Neve 1073 preamp, into a MAAG EQ, and into a Warm Audio 1176 black compressor. So, you know, that's an awesome vocal chain, and you know, you just can't go wrong with that type of vocal chain. So as long as you have all of those variables controlled, then you can get a really good vocal. And when you get a really good vocal, there's not much that you have to do. As you can see, there's not much that you have to do to process those vocals. Now, once again, this is just a basic mix. We can get into it really intricately, but I really like the way that this mix turned out, and I think that we're able to bring down the general volume on this entire project, and then we're able to send it off to the mastering engineer. I know how to master my own tracks as well, but you know, in order to get a good bass for mastering, you basically gotta have good quality vocals, good quality beat, good quality everything, and everything has to be well mixed so that the mastering engineer can do what they do, which is bring up the vocals to the maximum, or bring up the volume of everything to the maximum amount before it starts sounding bad, and then also making sure that that mix and master translates across every platform you listen to it on. So that's basically the job of the mastering engineer, but that's another story for another day. We'll get into mastering in another video. If you guys want to see that, go ahead and comment. Please subscribe, it'll really help the channel. Please share if you know anybody struggling with mixing vocals or recording, and yeah, just like if you enjoyed the content of this video. Once again, my peoples, this is 𝐊𝐄𝐃 Supreme with okaybeatz, and I'm signing out. Peace.